Hey, welcome to The Explainer. You know the drill. We find these big, compelling ideas, go right to the source, and then we just break it all down for you, slide by slide.
All right, let's just jump right in. I want you to be honest with yourself for a second. Have you ever been in one of those arguments, the one where you fight tooth and nail to prove you're right? I mean, you're digging your heels in, you are not backing down, even when there's that little tiny voice in the back of your head going, maybe you're not 100% right on this one.
Well, there's this really powerful metaphor that captures that feeling perfectly. It goes like this. Inside every single one of us, there's a kingdom. And sitting on the throne of that kingdom, our own certainty. And let me tell you, that throne, it does not admit any rivals. It demands our absolute, unwavering loyalty.
So here's the path we're going to take today. First, we'll visit the court of certainty. Then, we'll hear a call to arms. We'll learn the tactics of a cornered king, get a taste of the conqueror's toxic nectar, and then we're going to ask the big question, is this a kingdom or a prison? And finally, we'll hopefully find the freedom of being wrong.
All right, let's get into it. Part 1. The Court of Certainty. This whole idea of ruling over your own truth.
So let's really unpack that. This court of certainty, it's not just, having an opinion. It's this whole inner realm where our need to be right is the supreme law of the land. Every idea we hold, every belief, it's not just some random thought. It becomes a literal cornerstone of who we think we are.
Okay, so if our beliefs are basically part of our identity, what happens when someone challenges them? Well, that's where things get interesting. Which brings us to Section 2, a call to arms. This is when a simple discussion suddenly feels a lot more like an invasion.
And you can feel this switch flip, right? 1 minute, you're just having a chat, an exchange of knowledge. But the second one of those cornerstone beliefs gets questioned, bam, it feels like an attack. The drawbridge slams shut, the alarms are blaring, and the guards are on the walls. It's a potential invasion.
And this isn't just in your head, right? It's physical. It's like your body sounds a battle cry. You can almost feel the war horns in your chest. That surge of adrenaline kicks in to fuel your ego's fight. Your voice gets louder, stronger. It turns into a cannon's roar. The stakes suddenly feel incredibly high because in that moment, being wrong feels like a kind of symbolic death.
So what happens when your logic starts to fail? When the walls of your argument start to crumble? Well, you don't give up, which leads us to Part 3, the tactics of a cornered king, or the art of survival.
Yeah, when a king is cornered, they don't just surrender. No way. They resort to some, let's say, treacherous tactics. And there are 3 classic survival moves. Tactic 1, assassinate the bearer. You can't beat the idea, so you attack the person who brought it. Tactic 2, flee to the general. You escape the corner you're in by making these huge, sweeping generalizations. And tactic 3, build wayward conclusions. This is where you just start building all this flawed logic to create a thick fog of confusion, hoping everyone gets lost and forgets the original point.
But let's say it works. Your tactics are successful. You win the argument. So what does that victory taste like? That brings us to Section 4, the conqueror's toxic nectar, that feeling of winning.
And this quote, it just says it all, doesn't it? You see, did I not tell you so? This isn't the quiet satisfaction of discovering a new truth. Oh no. This is the arrogant ecstasy of the conqueror. It's that powerful, intoxicating rush of ego when you get to feel superior.
But here's the dangerous part. That feeling is like a toxic nectar. It's this fleeting, chemical high, but what it does is reinforce that need to sit on the throne. It makes us want that feeling again, so we cling even tighter to being right next time. Okay, but what happens after? After the battle's over, the adrenaline fades, that high wears off, something else starts to creep in. And this takes us to Section 5, a kingdom or a prison. It's time to listen for the ghost whisper. I want you to picture this. It's later. The argument is long over. It's quiet, maybe it's late at night, and you're just alone with your own thoughts. And in that stillness, a question bubbles up. It's almost a whisper. What if? What if this kingdom I've worked so hard to defend isn't a kingdom at all? What if it's actually a prison? What if this throne is just a really ornate chain?
And that one question, wow, that powerful question changes everything. It opens the door to our final and honestly our most liberating section, Part 6, the freedom of being wrong and how it leads to the birth of a free mind.
Because here's the alternative, right? It's a choice. Instead of spending all our energy building fortresses to defend what we already think we know, what if we started laying bridges instead? Bridges to new ideas, bridges to different perspectives, and most importantly, bridges to other people.
And this is where we find out what real strength looks like. It's not about being invincible or never being wrong. True strength is built on 3 pillars. First, having the courage to actually face being wrong. Second, having the wisdom to build those bridges of understanding. And third, finding freedom. Freedom from the tyranny of your own ego.
Because in the end, a person's value isn't found in how many arguments they've won. It's found in those moments where they have the grace and the nobility to say, you know what, perhaps I was mistaken. Let's figure this out together. And that moment, that's not weakness, that's not a collapse, that is the birth of a truly free mind.
So, I'll leave you with this one last thought to chew on. Think about those walls, those fortresses you've built around your own ideas. What fortress will you choose to walk out of today?